Hi, everybody, and welcome to Mike's Hidden Histories. Now, in 19th century Ireland, superstition and belief in fairies and the little people, or the ace she in Irish, was widespread, particularly in rural Ireland. And one of the beliefs is that the fairies could come to an unattended child, take your baby, and replace it with what was called a changeling. Now, this was often believed by people when their behavior of their child changed, or when they became sickly, or something like that. There was a belief that this wasn't their child anymore, that it was a changeling. And sometimes this was believed in adults as well, to explain different behavior. Now, sometimes this belief led to significant tragedies. And I want to tell you about one of those terrible, tragic events that happened in March 1895 in the little townland of Ballyvadlia in South Tipperary in Ireland. And it concerns a woman called Bridget Cleary, sometimes wrongly described as the last witch in Ireland, or the burning of the last witch in Ireland, which is completely wrong. She wasn't a case of a witch, but her husband believed over time that she was a changeling. Now, they were married, Bridget and Michael, in 1887, and by 1895, she was 26 years of age. He was 35 years of age. He was a cooper by profession, and Bridget was a seamstress, a dressmaker, but also had a successful business selling eggs in the locality. They had no children at this stage, but by all accounts, they were reasonably happily married. Now, one evening in March 1895, Bridget came back from selling her eggs, and she was quite unwell, in fact, and became very fluey, and this may have led to pneumonia. And by the 13th of March, her husband, Michael Cleary, called the doctor. The doctor prescribed medicines. Michael didn't give her that medicine. The doctor advised that the priest be called, and he came and he administered the last rites, which was a Catholic ceremony for those close to death. Now, Michael, at this stage, and had obviously been believing for some time that his wife wasn't his wife, that in fact she was a changeling. Somebody took his wife and placed this person in her place. He went to what could be considered a witch doctor, a herbalist, I suppose, of his day, and told his story, and was given a certain amount of herbs to be mixed with milk and to be given to Bridget. So that was on the 14th of March. Michael came back. Bridget refused to take this. The following evening, a number of people assembled in the house, in the little cottage where Bridget and Michael lived. One of them was Bridget's own father and some other relations of hers, and others were neighbours. Now, but on the events that happened subsequently, it seems that Michael must have convinced all of them that this wasn't Bridget, that in fact it was a changeling. Now, one of the things you do apparently is throw human urine over the person, and that will get rid of the changeling, or could. It didn't happen in this case. Bridget was questioned and forcibly by her husband in the presence of others. And at one stage, she was held in a seated position over the lighting embers of the open fire. And she was asked by her husband, "Are you Bridget Boland, the wife of Michael Cleary, in the name of God?" And she answered, "I am Bridget Boland, the daughter of Pat Boland, in the name of God." He asked her again, she replied again. He asked her a third time, she didn't reply. He knocked her to the ground. She was forced to take the herbs. This wasn't enough. He wasn't convinced yet. And he took a poker from the fire. Her blouse caught fire at this stage. And but Michael got up, he got oil from the lamp, and he threw it on her, and she was engulfed in flames. And obviously she died a horrible death. Now, what's so strange in all this story is that others in the household, and there were up to 9 people in the household, including Bridget's father, did not intervene to stop Michael Cleary. He kept holding it back and he said, "It is not my wife. I'm not going to keep an old witch in place of my wife. I must get back my wife. You'll soon see her going up the chimney," her being the changeling. Um, the body was buried in a shallow grave nearby. But it wasn't long before stories began to circulate in the neighbourhood about what had happened to Bridget. And the local priest heard this story. He went to the police. The police came, questioned Michael, and arrested him. And others who were in the household that night were also arrested. They were taken to court and charged with murder in April, indicted in April with a charge of murder, and the court case was held in early July 1895. Now, Michael was found guilty of manslaughter due to diminished responsibility. Others in the household were also found guilty of being complicit and received sentences of between 6 months and 5 years hard labour. Michael's sentence was 20 years in prison, which he served in Marlborough Prison, now known as Portlaoise Prison in the centre of Ireland. After 15 years, he was released. He went to Liverpool and then to Canada. So, what is a tragic story, often called about the last witch, which it wasn't. Um, uh, that Bridget was a witch. She was not a witch. She was a completely innocent victim. The tragic victim of superstition, rife in rural Ireland at that time. Now, was Michael uh, Cleary psychotic? Was he suffering some delusional um, uh, behavior? Was he, uh, or was he completely engulfed with these belief in fairies and changelings? Whatever about him, it's strange to understand the behavior or the lack of intervention by others in the household who were also complicit in this, including Bridget's own father. So there's this tragic story of Bridget Cleary from rural Ireland, Tipperary in 1895. More from Mike's Hidden Histories next time.